Hello, I'm Lawrence Chard. Welcome to our Chard's Coin and Bullion Dealer YouTube channel. Today, I've got a buy-in that we did a couple of days ago, and it's, in one sense, it's nothing out of the ordinary, but there is something interesting in here. It interested me, and I thought I'd like to share this with people. So, I'll show you what it was. There were 35 sovereigns, and there were 8 1-ounce gold coins. So there's about £20,000 of the sovereigns and about £20,000 of the 1-ounce coins. The 1-ounce coins actually happen to be an Austrian Philharmonica and 7 Canadian maypoles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 6 different dates in there, so we put them in separate packets. So when they came in, they weren't all nicely packaged up like this. We've sorted them. And the sovereigns, here we go. What is interesting about these... Oh, by the way, I usually get to see them because I do a second check. Somebody else will check and pull out anything that looks good, bad, ugly, suspect, whatever, and then often ask me to second check anything suspicious. And this lot was interesting. Out of the 35 sovereigns, 24 of them were the same date and the same mint mark. They were all Edward VII, and this time they weren't 1894 like in a recent video. We'll give you a link in case you haven't seen that. These are all 1910, which is the last date for Edward VII's coins, and all P mint mark for Perth Mint in Western Australia. So we'll show you a big picture of a nice one of these. The first one I picked up, I thought, oh, well, this looks like a nice coin. And by that, I mean slightly better condition than average and quite sharp. But it had got a whole lot of dirty looking streaks across it that looked like they're difficult to work out what they were. They could have been some sort of scratches, or it could have just been dirt or grease, or I really couldn't tell. And I thought, that's interesting, put it on one side and thought, I will look at that later. Next coin, also 1910p, and I thought, oh, this is really interesting. 2 in one go, all similar looking. And there were some, actually, this lot here, these weren't. These were just a typical bullion mixture from George V, I think some more Edwards, an odd QE2, Queen Victoria, a Jubilee, that was, that one's packaged up because it's slightly underweight, but only very slightly. And these are okay, nothing absolutely typical lot of bullion sovereigns. Now, we do often get a lot of the same date in a parcel, but it's more commonly some maybe a modern date, maybe year 2000 or 1958 turns up quite a bit, 1968 turns up, 1925, sometimes London Mint or South African Mint. And it was surprising because out of maybe 100 sovereigns, you might get 10 or 20 or 30 all the same date, and often looking quite minty. And you think, where have these been? And we're probably never going to know, except they've probably been in somebody's safe or tucked away in their bank's deposit box, safe deposit box for a generation and maybe passed on between family members. Anyway, as I went through, I went, well, another 1910p and another one. And then, of course, when I just looked at the head side, I got to be able to predict which ones were going to be 1910p because they were the only ones with this mucky streak on them. And the other ones didn't have the mucky streak. So even when I looked at the head, I could be ultra smart and go 1910p. I know it's right every time. But there you go. They're all 1910p. What we'll do, we'll take a photo of all these laid out here, probably on a piece of white card, actually, it'd be a better photo. And you can see. So when I'd finished checking through them and everything was okay, I thought, right, need to have a better look. Took those into our coin cleaning room, which we sometimes humorously call our money laundering room, popped them in an ultrasonic tank, and cleaned them. Now, some people are like, oh, clean! You're not supposed to clean coins. Well, yeah, my typical advice is don't clean coins. And certainly don't clean coins if you don't know what you're doing. don't go and get some Drasso or a Brillo pad or anything like that and use adhesives on them. But you can clean dirt off coins if you're careful, sensible, know what you're doing. Ultrasonic tanks are often used for conservation by museums and archaeologists who basically know what they're doing. They do some of the tours. I think sometimes the scientists and archaeologists and museums often use distilled water. We actually just use some water with some soapy water, basically, with detergent in it. You don't need much, a bit of fairy liquid. All the cleaners are available, and you put the tank on to vibrate, you turn the temperature up, or you pour very hot water in to start with, because that helps. And by the time I'd kind of got around to dropping all the coins in, we put them in a little sieve and a mesh. Have we done a video showing people about ultrasonic tanks?
Do you know what? I was just thinking the same, that would be a great video, how to clean your sovereigns safely video. Yeah.
So that's another little job for you. Yeah, that'd be interesting. And actually, before we had ultrasonic tanks, when we got really dirty, grubby coins in, typically often sovereigns, I would put them into a pan. I'd put some hot water in there, some fairy liquid again, bring them up to the boil, and let the boiling action actually do its job, because that would help to shift any dirt and grease on them along with the detergent. Don't leave them on so that your pan burns dry, because it's happened before, and you end up with a lot of brown sovereigns that are red hot when you come to see them, and then you've got they oxidize. But apart from that, yeah, it used to work very well. And then you rinse the soapy and detergent water off them, rinse them in just some clean warm water, and then dab them dry with a towel. They come up well. So by the time I'd actually got them all onto the strainer and started picking the early ones off, the first couple that came out were perfectly clean, all the muck had gone. And the whole operation took hardly any time at all. And they all came up pretty well. So you wouldn't know that they'd had dirty, mucky streaks on. So the interesting thing here to think about is, where have they been all this time? And how come they've stayed together? And, I used to think, they've been stored in bank vaults, or there's been a mint bag somewhere in some central bank or wherever, which might be the case some of the time. In this case, I think we'll probably know. I'm guessing maybe somebody's bought them in Australia around about 1910 or shortly after, and possibly the only date available in bulk then when they were new was 1910. And if you lived in Western Australia, you'd be getting Perth Mint ones. And then they'd probably be handed down in the family, stored, kept in a safe for a few generations, passed around. So there might have been 100 or 1,000, or who knows, mint bag of 1,000 originally. And yes, by the time we got them, what did we say, 24? Kind of interesting. And say, it happens, but I've never actually noticed a whole lot of 1910 Perth Mint before. We had some other dates. We were having 1894 Melbourne Mint sovereigns. Sometimes they turn up 10 or a dozen at a time or more. And some other dates, maybe 1901, the last date of Queen Victoria. It's quite surprising, in some cases, how and why it happens to be all one date in a cluster. So that's it. That's about the most excitement we got today, folks. It's not really exciting, but it's interesting. And if you've got any questions out there that I haven't answered, pop them down in the comments. While you're putting them on down in the comments, you can give it a thumbs up if you like. And if you don't like, you can give it a thumbs down. You know all this, and you can always subscribe. And you'll hit back. We do read all the comments, and we do try to answer them. That helps to spread a little bit of knowledge, share some interest. And of course, there's the Silver Forum, because we will pop a post on these on the Silver Forum about them as well. And so you can either comment on this YouTube video, or you can follow our link to the Silver Forum page that we'll put them on, and you can comment on there to your heart's delight and put much longer comments, and you get interaction from other collectors and dealers and stackers about what they think, and sometimes share their experience. You can share yours. I think that's it. So that was probably a quick video. Today, I hope I didn't bore you by yakking on for too long. In which case, I'm sure you'll look forward to seeing the next video in maybe a few days' time. Thanks, and bye for now.